They were saying, what kind of, what is that, or what kind of sound does a cat make?
That's it.
Ben's like going around going meow, and then Marlene lost it in an IEP. Marlene's like, first of all, I'm allergic to cats. Ben's never going to be around a cat.
Brett is the intellectual grandson of B.F. Skinner.
I can remember being a field worker and walking into the community with a learner, and they're starting to do something, and I'm thinking all eyes are on me. So if I'm thinking that in my first couple of years, I'm sure parents are thinking that, and they're thinking, am I a good parent? Am I doing the right thing? You have to be thinking about that stuff, and the impact that might have on implementing behavioral strategies is enormous. And I think the literature is showing that it's under-researched, which probably means we're just scratching the surface of some of these private events that these parents are going through. Let's do a couple more. Amanda, you had your hand up.
I have a story that goes along with that. I was in Target once. I saw immediately that there was a kid, early teenage boy, that had clearly had a bowel accident and was clearly significantly impaired, and his mother was just trying to get it together. They're in Target. He was not helping, and he had significant needs. And I just, I went to the sink and I washed my hands, and I turned to the mom and I said, is there anything that I can get for you? Could I get you some wipes or a fresh pair of pants? We're in Target, they've got everything. Can I help you in any way? And this mom started crying, and she was just telling me how grateful she was that I was supportive, because so many people don't understand. She didn't ask me why I offered her help or anything like that. She had no idea, whatever, but
everyone else just sits and friggin' stares at you. I've been through it.
And throws shade and is mean, and how are you, what are you doing? Why are you doing that here? And it smells, and she cried.
Marlene used to tell me in the beginning stages when I was courting her, she used to say all the time, she'd be like, I can't figure it out, but something's wrong. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I guess it's just because Ben's not with me right now. And then she would call her Ben's father and just check everything's okay, every second in the beginning. And then it was she'll tell you, she had to be desensitized to the world. When we would go somewhere like a Target and Ben wasn't with us, she was in such responsive, reactive mode that she just was like, something's wrong. And I'm like, why? We're just buying toilet paper. And then she would just say, I just realized that I can't believe Ben's not with me. I keep feeling like he's over there in the back and I have to go chase him. So just realize there's traumatic shit.
When we talk about acceptance and commitment therapy, we kind of have these 6 core processes. So there's being present in the moment. There's values, which we're going to talk about right now for a couple minutes. Taking committed action, so this is all where our stuff comes in, right? Behavior, self as context, diffusion, and acceptance. So acceptance would be the parent who has a 2-year-old and they're not quite there yet. So let's take an example here. Sarah is one of the moms, and the value that she is looking at is child autonomy, right? So that's something that she really values as a mom. So a values-directed behavior for her is any instance of her child engaging in an activity independently outside of the home in the absence of the parent. An example would be her child goes into a different aisle in a store, using a public restroom, waiting in the car, going to a friend's house, walking around the neighborhood without supervision. What do you think would be the purpose of sitting down with a parent and helping them come up with values? Yes.
I actually did this with one of my parents.
Great.
So the mom who I was saying wanted to be able to go out and leave her son with a babysitter, and I said, well, what are things that would help him to be with somebody other than you?
Yes.
And she said communication and just being able to do things more independently.
Right.
So every time she kind of fell off track, it was oh, is that helping him be more independent if we're prompting him,
Bingo.
And just pointing out those things. He now has a babysitter. Yay!
You knocked it. You got it. You nailed it. That's basically it, right? So inevitably, parents are going to get off track. Inevitably, we're going to have a bad week, a bad month, a bad quarter, a bad 6 months. And in order to help, it's so much easier to say, remember, what do you value? You value your child being more independent. You value, it's about getting buy-in. It's also about getting them back to take small little steps towards that big terminal goal, right? So, you know, for a parent right now, not doing something feels good in the moment, right? So there's kind of like immediate reinforcement, okay, good, I don't have to worry about that right now, I gave in, I'm good. But if you, as a clinician, can come in and say, okay, don't forget, we are valuing your big value, and the great thing about this is not you, they have said this is a value. You didn't, as a clinician, come in and say, here's your value. They told you that we value this, right? And then you can probably get a lot more buy-in in terms of goals, but you're able to say, hey, is this really getting us close to your child being able to be with somebody else for a couple of hours? And Brett, if you don't mind me saying, I know Brett's mentioned this, right? So you're a parent of, how old is Ben now, 18?
16.
16. And how many IEPs have you and Marlene gone to where a clinician said, we're gonna teach Ben how to, you know, touch a cow or a horse or something like that, and you probably didn't see a lot of value in that, right? I think you've mentioned that before, right?
Yeah, she always says, like, she'll say, Marlene always said, and I heard it once, they were saying, what kind of, you know, what is that, or what kind of sound does a cat make?
That's
and
it.
Ben's like going around going, meow, and then Marlene lost it in an IEP. Marlene's like, first of all, I'm allergic to cats. Ben's never going to be around a cat. So
right.
Stop teaching this IEP goal.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's, yeah, thank
right.
you. Yeah.
So, it's not relevant
Yeah.
to him, right? Yeah. So, it's helpful. So now the parent's thinking, okay, when Amanda or Jim or Pierre or anybody's coming in and they're talking about this goal, it gives them some reference as to why this goal may be important, right? And let's be honest. I'll be honest, you don't have to be, but I know I've gotten stuck sometimes like, all right, what's the next goal gonna be? So I do some assessment, I looked at my ABLs, I looked at my AFLs, but it may not necessarily be in alignment with what the family values. And so I'm going into a home and I'm saying, hey, it's a good idea, it's a good goal, and I may think as a clinician it's the right thing to do, but if it's not in line with what the family values, you know, let's tie shoes. No, Pierre, we don't really care about that, we're, you know, not a big deal, and I'm gonna, right. Let's make sure he's folding laundry. No, well, that's not really a big deal for us. Okay, well then let's work on a goal that you're actually gonna value. There's so much more buy-in, there's so much more energy when it's actually in alignment with what they value.
So it's even worse if you don't screen and you set up situations for more and more irreconcilable differences, because then you're disrupting, you're stealing time from that kid's life by not understanding their value system and whether you can meet it. So you're stealing time away from their ability to work with other providers that might provide what the parent wants.
And not even to mention the inconsistency of the service, which is even just unethical, just in regards to then behaviors get reinforced inconsistently, and behaviors that shouldn't be getting reinforced are getting reinforced. So it actually ends up providing a disservice to the child more than anything else. So that's why, you know, I feel like sometimes somebody hears like screen, they're like, oh, that's kind of weird, but the reality is we're ensuring that we're going to have support from the family to ensure that we can provide the proper service.